right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. For those of you who are tuning in from Facebook and Instagram, welcome. YouTube as well, welcome. And to this new edition of Speak Everything into Existence. This has been a show that I have not done in a long time, that I am just getting back into the swing of things of doing again. So, um, for those of you who are tuning in with me right now, I appreciate all of y'all love and support. And, um, feel free during this time to leave any comments, questions. Subscribe to all social media, music media that I may have at the time. Um, Currently, I am not uh, taking any video request via uh, Instagram and or Facebook. Currently, 'cause I do not have that set up yet. I'm still working on getting the kinks out with that one, so please be patient as we're kind of working along this as we speak. Today's topic, which I've now taken time to actually write down some stuff in between, is boundaries. Set it and don't forget it. Um, this has really been something that really just been a topic in general that's been on my mind, but obviously with all the events that's happened within last night specifically and nights even before then, I thought it was a good time to actually speak on it, and let's really have a really in-depth conversation. So, uh, people who have thoughts and opinions on this matter, feel free to leave questions and comments in the chat. As we kind of go along with this, I'm just going to speak on a couple topics as I pretty much just do my best to kind of get through this in real time. So, bear with me as I'm going through this as well as anybody else. But it's stuff that's really just been on my mind. So, let me stop rambling and let's get to what I have on my chart to kind of break down. First of all, let's talk about what is boundary setting, and I think a lot of people that is um, I think people can misconstrue that is um, don't do this or don't do that to me or you will have a bad time type of energy, which I don't think that's the case. I think there is a difference within setting limits and boundaries. Okay. For me, and I'll say this for myself, boundaries are I am giving you pretty much the the grounds of this is how much I will take. If you cross that line, you have lost a communication of trust. I'm setting a boundary of things that I cannot that I will not tolerate, um, that I cannot handle at this time, that I will not go through at this time, and try to pretty much break, or make exceptions for that rule. Period. I'm not. There is nothing. Sorry if I'm looking all over the place. I'm trying to figure out where to look with this camera. Um, Pretty much the long end of it is to make sure that you as the person, as yourself, is protected, because nobody's gonna watch over you better than yourself, and you are responsible for the 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 self the selfish and selflessness of yourself, um, and putting yourself in protection at all costs. So, that's to me is the set of creating a boundary. Number one is to put yourself into the best possible situation that you can, so that you can perform as a either as a worker or even just as everyday human life. That is the whole concept of the boundary is I only set I set certain things that I will tolerate, and if you cross that line, I will not be able to perform in my best scenario for myself, for you, or anybody. So let's make sure that we are being responsible on our end. Um, every person has a limit. Every person has a limit. Let me say that again. Every person has a limit. We as people, um, in this day and age, have taken so much, I think, for granted for who we are and what we do, that we do not take into account of, um, the amount of respect that we should have for ourselves. And every person is going to have a breaking point. Um, and you have to be, I think, this day and age, I think a lot of people are trying to be more conscious of the responsibility as humans, um, to recognize those things and make sure that we put ourselves into that best situation possible to know how that affects us as people. So we have a responsibility for others as well as ourselves to put ourselves into the best possible situation. And there are going to be people that are going to test you and push your limits. And you, as a person, have the responsibility to protect yourself and the others, into protecting your boundary, and whether that is, um, and how you in which how you do that is your responsibility as well. So, um, let's. Uh, so I guess the real question then is, when is it too far? Um, I think for a lot of us, we have this thought to where, um, we need to just take everything at us head on all the time, and or, um, retaliate over every response that's handed to us, right? I think there can be a balance in between the two, um, where you can be able to take what's coming at you, but also being able to let them know to um, have the respect of you as a person, and say, "Hey, man, this can't be tolerated. I can't tolerate this. I'm letting you know this right now because, um, I don't want this to become a habit." Right? So, we I think as people, um, are too are to either one way or the other. Either we're quick to be overly defensive over everything that we do, or we're too timid and quiet about things to where a lot of that stuff can be bottled up. And sometimes you'll have things that will, unfortunately, to call it like it is, can people will lash out and do something that you haven't seen yet, because they've been trying to be, they're trying to keep cool at all costs and not try to cause a scene. Uh, the public eye responsibility versus your personal responsibility. I think it's talk. I think it's now time to kind of talk about the Will Smith situation now. Um, Obviously, if you haven't seen it, I don't know what rock you're living on right now, but, I will say this. I would say this. I'm not gonna talk about the details on that, because you guys can find that anywhere on the internet right now. It's easily accessible, and I'm not gonna go into detail on what was said and who said what and why was what said. I think we need to really talk about, um the whole sense of, having responsibility for the actions that you take on both ends. Um, Number one, let's talk about Will. Um, and I'm only going from what we've seen from the public eye and what we've shown, what's been shown to us. Because a lot of other stuff that could be going on in Will Smith's life that we have never seen, that we'll never will see, and that is and that is all in a private matter as it should be. Because there are private matters on every situation that can't be. Everybody's got to be everybody has to be known knowledge about because he's a celebrity or he has money or anything like that. Um, Will Smith, obviously, in the last couple years, have really been trying to be more advocate about having open conversations about mental health and trauma, and conversations that can be deemed uncomfortable um, between him and his wife and his kids. Um, what I think that I personally saw from last night was a man that has taken um, the punch, for a lack of a better term, punches in the mouth for so long from folks in the media, people over social media, the tabloids, you name it, you got it from his comments from his wife, comments from his kids, comments from everybody, and he's tried to soak that in and try to do his best into um, handling it all well. And I think what we don't realize is that these celebrities are human too. They were humans first before they came into the celebrity world. These kids didn't come out the womb talking about, oh, I'm gonna, making movies and writing raps and doing whatnot. They were humans first. And I think that's the one thing that I think we get misconstrued about this whole concept here is that we are all humans. And I love how a lot of people have a lot of things to say about what they would have done or what they should have done or what Will should have did or what Chris Rock should have did. You're not them. I'm not them. And I'm not speaking for anybody else. I'm not speaking for the black community. I'm not speaking for the white community. I'm not speaking for um, anybody but for myself and my experience and what I noticed and what I took from what happened last night. Personally, for myself, I couldn't even watch the entire thing. I had to really put it on mute because it would have put me in a shock like everybody else, but it just puts me in emotional distress because of the fact of how everything transpired. Um, Will, I don't. I think Will knows this as much as anybody else around here knew that he should have. Um, um, he knew that didn't. He shouldn't have done what he did in the circumstances. But I think a lot of it is. I think the other side of it, from my perspective, is you, from your personal responsibility as a husband, felt like if that was the way that you had to do to protect your wife, it is what it is. Um, is it the best way? It's not the best way. Definitely not the best way when you're having the public, people from the public eye seeing you exposed exposed into its fullest in front of the biggest stage of your life. However, um, like I said before, every person has a limit. And I think what you notice is a person that had their boundaries broken one too many times and had the last of it between, and he knew that he felt like he needed to do what he needed to do to protect his wife. And whether that was the best way or the worst way, everybody's going to have their own opinions about that. It was a way, and it was a way that everybody saw and everybody noticed. And um, I think I feel personally personal opinion that I think Will would have maybe wanted to handle that situation in a different way. And but I think it's the person that who has had taken so much to his accord of the responsibility um, of publicly putting himself out there and exposing himself out there from a personal perspective more than a lot of other folks. And I think maybe part of that, those things are starting to catch up to him, to where it led to the circumstances that we saw last night. Now on to Chris Rock. Um, Chris probably has one of the hardest, has one of the really difficult jobs to do, because as a comedian, you have so much of this material that could go either one way or the other. And I think as you are somebody who, um, you know, you are somebody who talked about the positivity of of black women in a film previous to that, and then making a comment or a joke or a lightheaded joke upon this situation, um, it, it sends two different signals of like, what exactly are you really representing, um, and that can miss and that really, I think, is pretty much the reasoning of why things went down the way that it did. Um, so obviously, Chris has his own sense of responsibility for the words that he said. He knew what he said. Um, he shouldn't. He knew the consequences of what he said. Obviously, he did not know the consequences. He was going to go as far as he did, but you are making light of a situation now, whether you know it or not. Um, I think you have to be very you got to be very careful in this world. Now, I can't speak for comics and their industry and how they handle things and whatnot. Obviously, it's a, like I said, it's a very tough situation. You're literally joking, making jokes of experiences of life to try to make laughter out of it, because obviously all of us will break down. I think this was one of the ones where, okay, things didn't hit. Every comedian's joke didn't hit. Um, every person's joke did not land, and even in your even in your brightest times, there will be your lowest points. And I think there's got to be this sense of responsibility from both ends, from both Will and Chris, and to pretty much hash out what they need to do. Um, but I also want to reiterate that both of these people are completely human. Every person has a responsibility to um, be better folks. I think that what we're seeing from the world right now is we're so focused on what was happening in the moment and what happened in the past, and that we don't want to give the people who make mistakes the room for growth. The moment that they fall, we want them to stay down and say, shame on you, shame on you, you should never be able to come back up, which is terrible in the society that we're living in. I think what we're noticing right now, especially in the 2020s, that a lot of people are really exposing themselves into being the true size of folks that you haven't seen yet, and you have a responsibility to um, be protective of yourself, be protective of the people that you're surrounded with, and be protective of the things that you do and the words that you say, and you have to um, take that accountability for yourself. Um, what else I got in here? So yeah, cancel culture obviously is at like I said before, is at an all time high. And we're just so quick to judge, and it's a shame that like really we're making memes, we're making TikToks, we're making videos, we're making jokes about a situation that could have been very serious for the two people on their own. And I think we need to really have a serious conversation within ourselves of, are we really giving these people the amount of space? And I think it's a lot. It's very hypocritical for people to make light of the situation because they think that your amount of income um, makes all of your mental and emotional health disappear, which is not the truth. Your the amount of money that you make and the amount of things that does not make you um, indestructible. It does not. Think about all the folks that we've lost you know due to overdose of drugs or things like that. They try to cope with the stress that they've dealt with. We literally saw, I mean, look at people like Robin Williams who died because he was trying to just make everybody else happy, and he wasn't even putting himself first. And I think we need to start learning to put ourselves first in this situation, ladies and gentlemen. So please, please, please give folks of every capacity the amount of space to allow them to grow. Yes, they need to take responsibility for themselves. They need to hold themselves accountable. Some people need to hold themselves accountable. And I also want to give Tyler Perry and Denzel Washington a lot of credit for trying to console Will and trying to calm him down during that situation. At least and whoever else was in there, I think his publicist was there. They're trying to, keep him uplifted, and try to, you, you know, let let yourself get back into reality and try to move on from the situation. Um, Shame on a lot of folks who think that have a lot that feel like they got a lot to say about what they should have done. That's not you. You're not that person. You have no right to make that distinction on them, because everybody's talking about what they would have done, and there's a lot of people that say that had done a lot worse, and people would have had you up in the tabloids, and then you would have been sitting there making the same statements that the both of them had to do. So put the shame on you for not for thinking that you are in the sense of perfection. That's enough. Show Give them the space to grow. All right. We're getting close to the end here as I'm talking about this. Uh, People on Instagram and or Facebook and or YouTube. I'm currently going back and forth right now, checking chat rooms to figure out if people had anything to say on chats. If not, obviously I'll keep moving. Thank all of y'all for taking time to tune in at this time. Um, and let's see, before I get too far ahead of myself. Uh, and I doubt I'll have anything from YouTube, but just to be on the safe side here. Okay. All right. Cool. Cool. Um, Last thing before we go, I'm gonna just go through these two quick statements on behalf of Will Smith, that was just posted about an hour ago, and Chris Rock, that was just posted about 2 or 3 hours ago. Will put this in his recent statement post on Facebook. Violence of all forms is poisonous and destructive. My behavior last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable. Jokes at my expense are part of the job, but a joke about Jada's medical condition was too much for me to bear, and I reacted emotionally. I would like to publicly apologize to you, Chris. I was out of line and I was wrong. I am embarrassed, and my actions were not indicative of the man who I want to be. There is no place for violence in the world of love and kindness. I also would like to apologize to the Academy, the producers of the show, all the attendees, and everyone watching around the world. I would like to apologize to the Williams family, the King Richard family, and I deeply regret my behavior has sustained what has been otherwise a gorgeous journey for all of us. I am a work in progress. Sincerely, Will. Um, I think the last statement really speaks for itself. I am a work in progress. We are all a work in progress, and we should treat it as such. And the last statement that I've um, got from Chris Rock. As a comedian, it is difficult to understand the lines are to be crossed and which ones aren't. Last night, I crossed a line that I should have and paid the enormous price of my reputation as a renowned comedian. Comedy is never about poking fun at or making light of people with major ordeals happening in their lives. Comedy is about using real life circumstances to create laughter and bring light to a otherwise dark world. With that said, I deeply apologize to my friends Jada Pickett Smith, Will Smith, and the rest of the Smith family for the disrespect and disregard I displayed, which is unfortunately broadcast for the world to see. I hope that with time, forgiveness can come of this situation and we can all be better, more considerate people in the end. So what can we take from these statements? People who are looking for the space to grow. And I think for all of us, we need to all do that for ourselves and give us the space to grow, give us the space to breathe, give us the space to not overbear so much. We take so much of this world of having this responsibility that we take some of these things for granted, and we should never be taken advantage of or be taken for granted. I think there should be a balance of being able to protect yourself as a person, and mentally, emotionally, physically, um, so that you can balance your life better. And I think if we do that, we all will live in a much better world into being more loving, caring, considerate, and respectful and loving people. That is it for me tonight. Again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. If you guys want to see more stuff like this, please go ahead and like and subscribe to the channels, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Um, they'll be easily to find. All the links are down below. There is a master link that goes to all my social media links. If you guys have any further questions on the matter, or want to leave any comments on this matter, if you want me to see more videos like this, feel free to leave comments and share this video if you see so fit. Thank you so much for everybody tuning in. Speak everything into existence. Invest, involve, and evolve. Have a good night, everyone.